Have you ever stood in front of your pantry, eyeing that row of canned soups, beans, or fruits and wondered, is this actually good for me? Or is it something I should be avoiding? You're not alone. As we age, we become more careful about what we eat, and rightly so. Every bite counts a little more, doesn't it? Maybe you've even had someone tell you to toss the canned stuff and go all fresh. Or maybe you heard on the news that canned foods are full of salt or preservatives. But then again, they're so convenient. Just pop the lid, heat it up, and there's dinner. When your joints ache or energy is low, convenience can feel like a blessing. So what's the truth here? Today, we're going to take a deep and honest look at canned foods. Are they helping or hurting your health, especially as you grow older? We'll talk about the pros, the cons, and what you really need to watch out for. We'll separate myths from facts, and by the end, you'll feel confident knowing which canned foods can actually support your health and which ones might be doing more harm than good. Let's start with something that's often overlooked. What makes canned foods so appealing in the first place? For many older adults, the ease of opening a can is a lifesaver. Cooking from scratch can be exhausting. Peeling, chopping, stirring. Some days it's just too much. A can of lentil soup or some diced tomatoes can turn into a quick, satisfying meal without all the hassle. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to simplify life a little. You've earned that. Plus, canned foods often cost less. That's another reality for many people after retirement. Budgets get tighter. And you don't have to worry about them spoiling within a few days like fresh produce. Canned beans, for example, can sit on the shelf for months. So yes, there are real benefits. But here's the question. At what cost? Let's talk about sodium. Yes, that word again. Most canned foods are packed with salt. Not just a pinch to bring out the flavor, but often way more than your body needs. That's especially important to consider as we get older because too much sodium can raise blood pressure, strain the heart, and even contribute to kidney issues. If you're over 60 and living with high blood pressure, heart disease, or swelling in your legs or ankles, chances are your doctor has already told you to cut back on salt. And here's the tricky part. Salt doesn't always taste salty. That chicken noodle soup might seem mild, but it could have over 800 milligrams of sodium in one tiny serving. And who eats just one serving? Many people unknowingly eat the whole can and take in a full day's worth of sodium in one meal. That's a problem. But the good news is, not all canned foods are created equal. You can find low sodium or no salt added versions, especially when it comes to vegetables and beans. The key is to check the label. If you see no salt added or low sodium, you're already making a better choice. And even if you only have regular canned goods on hand, there's a little trick: rinsing them. Yup, drain the liquid and give them a good rinse under cold water. That can wash away up to 40% of the sodium. It's a small step, but it makes a big difference. Now let's talk about BPA, another concern that's been floating around. BPA, or bisphenol A, is a chemical used in the lining of many food cans. Some studies have linked it to hormone disruptions, heart disease, and even certain cancers. While the science isn't conclusive, there's enough concern that many manufacturers have started offering BPA-free cans. So once again, your best weapon here is that label. Look for cans marked BPA-free. If a product doesn't say anything about BPA at all, it's better to assume it might contain it. And then, of course, there's sugar. People usually don't think about sugar hiding in canned goods, but it's there, especially in canned fruits and sauces. A can of peaches might seem healthy until you realize it's soaked in heavy syrup. That syrup can contain more sugar than a candy bar. Over time, excess sugar can lead to weight gain, increase your risk of diabetes, and even worsen inflammation in the body, which we know is tied to everything from arthritis to heart issues. So here's a quick visual trick. When you're shopping for canned fruit, look for ones packed in water or 100% fruit juice, not syrup. And if it doesn't say either of those things right on the front, it's probably best to leave it on the shelf. But before we start throwing out every can in the kitchen, let's be fair. There are some canned foods that are not only convenient, but also very nutritious. For example, canned sardines or salmon can be wonderful sources of omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for your heart, your brain, and even your joints. And unlike fresh fish, which spoils quickly, canned fish lasts for months, making it a great option when you don't feel like going to the store. Same goes for canned beans. They're full of fiber, which helps keep your digestion regular and your blood sugar stable. They're also rich in protein and essential minerals like iron and magnesium, and as long as you rinse them, they're a solid, senior-friendly food. So at the end of the day, it's not about swearing off canned foods forever. It's about knowing which ones to lean on and which ones to watch out for. It's about reading labels, making small swaps, and understanding that you can enjoy the convenience of canned foods without sacrificing your health. You just have to be a little more mindful. Now that we've peeled back the label on sodium, sugar, and BPA, let's keep going and take a closer look at some of the most common canned foods sitting in your pantry right now and what they're really doing inside your body. Let's start with something you've probably eaten more times than you can count: canned soup. It's comforting, warm, and on a cold or tiring day, it feels like a hug in a bowl. But here's the catch. Most canned soups are loaded with salt, preservatives, and sometimes even monosodium glutamate, or MSG. Now, some people aren't sensitive to MSG, but for others, especially older adults, it can cause headaches, dizziness, or even swelling. And when you combine that with high sodium, your heart and kidneys are doing extra work just to stay balanced. But don't worry, there are better options. These days, many brands are offering low-sodium or heart-healthy versions. If you love soup but want to stay safe, try adding in your own fresh or frozen veggies and just use the canned soup as a base. That way, you stretch the nutrition while cutting down the salt. And here's another trick. Don't feel like you need the whole can. Pour half, save the rest for tomorrow, and bulk it up with some rice or spinach. You've got options. Now, what about canned vegetables? They seem harmless, right? And they can be, if you choose wisely. The big issue, again, is sodium. Many canned green beans, corn, or peas are preserved with added salt, and sometimes even preservatives like EDTA, which sound like something out of a science lab. Your best bet here is to go with no salt added varieties. And again, rinse them well. Rinsing isn't just a habit, it's a little act of care you can do in just 10 seconds that can have a big impact over time. Still, there's something important to say here. Don't let perfection stop progress. If canned vegetables are what you can afford or manage that day, that's okay. Canned green beans are still better than no green beans at all. What matters most is balance. What else are you eating during the day? Are you drinking enough water? Are you moving a little, stretching, keeping your body active? All of that works together. Let's move on to something a bit more controversial. Canned meats. Things like canned ham, corned beef, or those little potted meats might remind you of sandwiches from years ago. They're salty, yes, but they're also convenient. The downside is they tend to be high in saturated fat, sodium, and preservatives like nitrates. And that combination isn't very friendly to aging arteries or sensitive stomachs. If you've been dealing with high cholesterol, clogged arteries, or stomach inflammation, it might be time to cut back or swap those out entirely. Instead, look for leaner canned options like chicken breast in water or canned tuna, especially the low-sodium kind. These can still give you the convenience and shelf life you need, but without flooding your system with additives. And you don't have to eat them plain. Mix a little yogurt or mashed avocado instead of mayo, toss it on a whole grain cracker, and just like that, you've got a snack that supports your health and satisfies your cravings. Speaking of cravings, let's talk about canned fruits again. They might look so bright and sweet in the bowl, but if they're sitting in syrup, especially that thick, heavy kind, you're getting a whole lot more sugar than you bargained for. Over time, that sugar adds up. It sneaks into your joints, your blood vessels, your waistline, and even your memory. It's not about fear. It's just about awareness. When you're shopping, look for fruits labeled packed in water or 100% fruit juice. These will still taste great, but without the sugary overload. Or better yet, buy frozen fruit. It's often just as nutritious as fresh, sometimes even more so, and it won't go bad in a couple of days. Keep a bag of blueberries or mango chunks in your freezer and toss them into oatmeal, yogurt, or even a smoothie when you need a boost. One thing many people forget is that canned food isn't just about what's in the can. It's also about what's missing. Fresh produce gives you enzymes and certain vitamins, like vitamin C, that can degrade during the canning process. That means if you're only relying on canned foods day after day, you might miss out on nutrients your body needs to stay strong, fight infections, and heal. But again, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. If you're using canned carrots today, maybe tomorrow you steam some frozen broccoli or slice up a cucumber. Little shifts. Your body notices. It doesn't demand perfection, just love, care, and consistency. You know, the older we get, the more our bodies start whispering to us. Little signs, stiff joints, trouble sleeping, a little swelling here, a bit of fatigue there. And sometimes, what we put on our plate can either turn those whispers into shouts or quiet them down. Food truly is medicine, but only when we know how to use it wisely. That's why canned food isn't the enemy. It's just a tool. And like any tool, it can help or harm depending on how we use it. When you start reading labels, rinsing what needs rinsing, and picking the versions that support your goals, suddenly, those shelves in your pantry don't feel so confusing anymore. They become a source of strength, not stress. So now that we've unpacked the good, the bad, and the sneaky about canned foods, let's pull it all together in a way that actually works for your everyday life. Because let's face it, you don't have time to stand in the kitchen analyzing every label like a scientist. You just want to eat well, feel better, and have a little peace of mind that what you're putting into your body is doing more good than harm. And really, that's what this all comes down to, peace of mind. Knowing that yes, you can still enjoy your favorite foods, even the ones that come from a can, without guilt or worry. It just takes a little intention. For starters, here's something easy you can do the next time you shop. Make the label your friend, not your enemy, not something to fear, just a helpful tool. When you pick up a can, glance at the sodium content first. If it's over 400 milligrams per serving, pause and ask, "Can I find a lower sodium version of this?" Then check the serving size. Many cans pretend one small portion is a serving, when in reality, we eat the whole thing. And that's okay. But now, you'll know how much you're really taking in. If you've got a few extra minutes when you get home, organize your canned goods into categories: high sodium, low sodium, fruits and syrup, fruits and juice. That way, when you're tired or in a rush, you can quickly grab the better choice without having to think too hard. Small habits like this can quietly reshape your health from the inside out. Here's another tip that makes a big difference. Pair canned foods with something fresh. A can of black beans becomes a wholesome meal when tossed into a bowl with chopped spinach, a squeeze of lime, and a little olive oil. Canned salmon turns into a superfood salad when flaked over mixed greens with a handful of walnuts. You don't need to become a gourmet chef. You just need to get a little creative and trust that every small upgrade counts. And don't be afraid to experiment. If you've always used canned cream-based soups, try replacing them with a simple broth and some added spices. If you've relied on fruit cocktail and syrup, maybe pick up some canned pineapple in its own juice next time. Your taste buds can adapt, especially when your body starts feeling the difference. One thing that often goes unspoken is how deeply food connects to our memories and emotions. Maybe you grew up on canned peaches at your grandmother's table, or maybe a can of chicken noodle soup reminds you of recovering from a cold, warm blanket over your knees and the care of someone who loved you. Those moments matter, and no one's asking you to erase them. But what you can do is evolve your relationship with those foods. Keep the comfort, but upgrade the ingredients. Show your body the same love and care you've shown others all your life. And if you're cooking for someone else, a spouse, a friend, a neighbor, you now have the power to make meals that are both nourishing and convenient. No shame, no stress, just thoughtful, balanced choices that support energy, clarity, and vitality. The truth is, there's no perfect diet. Not at 30, not at 60, and certainly not at 80. What matters most is being aware of what you're eating, how it makes you feel, and how it fits into the bigger picture of your life. Are you eating to keep your blood sugar steady? To support your heart? To stay independent and mobile? Those are all beautiful goals. And canned foods, when chosen wisely, can be part of that story. So if you've been staring at your pantry feeling unsure, I hope you feel a little lighter now, a little more informed, a little more confident, because now you know what to look for, you know what to rinse, you know what to swap, and that knowledge gives you power. The power to say, yes, I can still enjoy my favorite foods. The power to feel good in your body, not just today, but in the years to come, and the power to trust yourself in the kitchen again. Remember, you don't need to overhaul everything overnight. Just start small. Maybe it's picking up one can labeled "no salt added" this week. Maybe it's replacing one sugary canned fruit with something packed in juice. Maybe it's rinsing those beans before tossing them into your salad. These aren't just health tips. They're acts of self-respect. You've come so far, lived through so much, and your body still shows up for you every single day. Let's return the favor with food choices that care for it, gently and intentionally. And if this video helped you feel a little more confident about your pantry or gave you one idea to try, go ahead and share it with someone you love. Maybe a friend, a sibling, or your adult children who are also looking out for you. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Let me know. What canned food do you still enjoy? And what's one change you're inspired to make today? You deserve to feel strong, energized, and at peace with your food choices. And yes, that includes your pantry. Here's to living your best life, one mindful meal at a time.